Thank you. Connect the dots for the opportunity. Again, I'm Michael Baptiste. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I identify as a Black heterosexual male. I'm a single dad of a 12-year-old going on 30. I'm an Army veteran, and I'm half American, half Haitian. So when I think about the climate that we're in right now in regards to the challenges we have around constructive communication in the workplace and still trying to be respectful and still trying to stand for social justice, I would say that we're in unprecedented times right now. You know, we're dealing with a health crisis, we're dealing with an economic crisis, we're dealing with racial justice. And so it's also presented an interesting time in the workplace because literally the issues of the world are actually at our office front door or our virtual front door right now in remote life. And so there's definitely a frustration of, hey, you really didn't know what was going on in your company all this time with your Black and brown employees from a workplace perspective. And so if you can imagine the experience of having all the, if you can imagine having the experience and resources and tools to be successful in the workplace and still being 5 to 10 steps behind your white or majority counterparts, that's the systemic oppression that Black and brown people have had to deal with over time in the workplace. And so in the same breath, though, there's this sense of optimism and hope because we have their attention. And when I say their attention, I mean companies and organizations to really maximize this moment. And regardless how you feel about the moment, whether you feel it's genuine or um, fabricated, it's a moment, right? And the accountability stakes are high, the accountability scales increase, and the spotlight is on companies to make real change. And so with that, there's this heightened sense of anxiety around what we say and how we say in the workplace from a communication perspective. And so I've adopted these 5 principles to help deal with that. And so the first one talks about just leading and assuming with good intent. I think we have to, in a nutshell, just give everyone the benefit of the doubt until they prove otherwise. Second talks about just embracing differences. So we all come to the table with different views, different thoughts, different perspectives. And so the more we can just appreciate that and value that and respect that, I think that helps us go a long way. The third talks about just listening to understand. I think so often we get caught up in conversations and our response is listening to respond or listening to debate or listening to refute rather than just being present in the conversation. Fourth talks about meet people where they are. So not everyone is as woke as you are, and that's okay. As long as we can kind of agree to meet in the middle and grow and develop from there. And then lastly, just talks about being comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like I said earlier, we are in unprecedented times. And so the more we can kind of lean into that and use this moment as a teaching, coaching, learning, and developing opportunity, I think that'll help us get the results that we're looking for. And so when I think about all this really from like a personal perspective in terms of how it informs the work that I do and just affects me on a day to day, I can't help but think about George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. And by the way, still no justice for Breonna Taylor, by the way. I am easily connected with them because that could have easily been me. And so I'm frustrated sometimes, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, disappointed, scared. And it's still happening today. So we're still having the same issues today, even after those 3 and the many more before them. And so with that, I still have to show up and do my job and be professional. And that's tough and hard. But I can honestly say in the same breath, like I've probably never felt more empowered, more brave, more courageous, more transparent and holding people accountable and speaking up and my voice being heard probably ever before in my career than I am right now. And I mentioned before, diversity, inclusion, equity, that's my job. And I live and breathe that every day. And so I am committed to making sure that we have representation from Black, Indigenous, people of color, and women at the decision tables to make sure that we tear down the systemic barriers of oppression in the workplace. And so I leave you with just some encouragement about why we must all care about this. And honestly, I don't think we really have a choice. I think regardless of how we got here, we are here now. And so if you're not stepping up and speaking out and supporting those who have been marginalized, discriminated, unfortunately, you are part of the problem. And if you're not using your privilege to help support and empower others, then again, you are part of the problem. And if you can't say Black Lives Matter without saying all lives matter, then again, you are the problem. And so if you don't want to be the problem, be the solution. And I challenge yourself to be the catalyst of change. Challenge yourself to lead with love, lead with respect, and lead with compassion for your fellow humankind. Thank you.